Okay, finishing up lesson 2-3, finally. We have 2 examples left to do. And we had looked yesterday at solving or finding zeros algebraically. So taking the equation, setting it equal to 0, factoring, solving. Example 6 talks about, it says find all real zeros. Now, specifically, when we're talking about find all real zeros, we're looking for the ones you can see. Okay, if you can't see them, you can't find them. At least not graphically, which is how we're looking at this one. So find all real zeros, which means what are we looking for when we graph this? Our what? Yeah, thank you. X-intercepts. So we're going to graph this, and we're going to look for x-intercepts. Now, you'll notice it says zooming to uncover hidden behavior. This is one of those situations where we have to do a little bit of work here to get it figured out. So, find a calculator for myself, get it typed in. You guys are probably going to beat me there. So. Always good on this type to go back, recheck. Did you type everything right? And again, I always start with a Zoom 6, standard zoom there. Okay, putting together a little bit of what we know. Based on looking at the equation, at most, how many zeros could we be expecting to find here? 4, because this is a degree 4. At most, there are 4 zeros. How many zeros do you think we actually have? 3? Here's the deal. Is it easy to tell right now? I mean, we know there's 1 for sure. We know there's 2 for sure, right? But past that, what's going over in that little joggy area, right? So, my suggestion is let's find the left one first. And then after we find the left one, my recommendation will be that you zoom in to find the right one. The right ones, however many there might be. Because it is hard to tell until you zoom in. You guys remember how to find zeros, right? Second calc 0. So if I want to go, I'm looking for the one that it looks like it's about -3. So left of it, in this case, means I'm above it. Hit enter. Right of it means I'm below it. Hit enter. And then the guess, well, I don't really have anything to guess there. Mine says -3.099736. I don't know what your y value is. My y value says -6e to the -12. What is that y value? That's approximately 0, isn't it? Okay, so don't write that down as -6e to the -12. I want you to acknowledge that as 0. But so one of our zeros, I think I did 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places. So -3.09, 9 tells a 9 to go up, so 1 0. Now, do that one how you want. Here's my recommendation. That next part is hard to see, yes? You need to do some zooming action to figure out exactly what's going on in that graph, because otherwise it's going to be hard to get your boundaries in the right place. So, I don't know about you guys, I personally would pick Z-box. Maybe you just want to zoom in over in that area. But if I do Z-box, I'm going to put my box, and I could put it around the whole x-axis and get this -3 also, but I don't really need that. So I'm going to put this Z-box over around whatever's going on over here around the x-axis. many more zeros do we have to find here? 3 more? Once you get in there and look closely, there are 3 more. So, start finding them. And you can even zoom in a little bit more than that if you don't, feel like you're zoomed in. So, left bound, below this one that's around -half. Right bound to the right of it, which is above it. Forget being around a half. It is exactly 0.5. Does yours agree? Did you find your 2 others? Second calc 0 this time. My left bound is above it. My right bound is going to be below it. You just have to find the right spot there. And then I guess. 1.1330334. So approximately 1.13. And then we need one more. Did you guys find the last one? Left bound is below. Right bound is above. 1.3667022. So 1.366 makes the 6 go up to a 7, so 1.37. Okay. Those are your zeros. Now, if you want to make some notes about what we did, you could do that. The fact that I used ZBox to zoom in, and then I used my second calc, and then I used the option zeros to find zeros. Hopefully we're getting to the point where you remember it pretty easily, but just in case, there you go. The other thing I'm going to graph on here, just real quick, is just so I have it in my notes, is just kind of an example of what the graph looked like. I probably should have done this sooner since it went down, it did something like this, and it kind of did something like that, right? So we had -3.1. This is not drawn to scale, I'm sure. 0.5, 1.13, and 1.37 for my zeros. Okay, so if you want to put a little bit of a picture in there just so you can kind of have a visual, that's what your calculator should look like. You weren't getting those values, I would check to make sure you punched in the right values when graphing, right? That's the easy mistake to make. Questions there? I feel like that's old news, right? It's just practicing the zooming more than anything. So let's look at example 7. Writing a function given zeros. So directions ask us to write the cubic function given zeros of -4, 5, and 2. Thoughts of how to do this? Cubic function. What can you expect since it's a cubic function? Okay. It's going to end up being degree 3 in the end, yes? Okay. We're given zeros of -4, 5, and 2. Thoughts of how we go about this? If you think about working backwards here. 3 sets of parentheses. Because if you think about the one we did algebraically yesterday, in the end we got these zeros, right? The step before we found the zeros, we had a parenthesis for each zero, didn't we? So, okay, so it says a function, so I'm going to say f of x. You could say y equals as well. -4. A 0 of -4 is expressed how in the parentheses? Yeah, that's x plus 4. A 0 of 5 is expressed out in parentheses. X minus 5. And a 0 of 2 is expressed as X minus 2. Now, that's a cubic function. It doesn't say this in here. I have my final answer in standard form, though. Okay, so it might say that in the homework. I'm not 100% sure. But standard form. What do we have to do to get this to standard form? FOIL. FOIL 2. Then once you get that answer, FOIL the third. That's exactly what I would do. So pick 2 to start with. I personally am just going to pick the first 2. Not that you have to pick the first 2, but when you FOIL the first 2, x times x is x squared. X times minus 5 is minus 5x. X times 4 is 4x. So it's pre-cal. I'm going to go ahead and combine them. Minus 5x plus 4x is going to be minus 1x. And then 4 times minus 5, minus 20. Then I still have an x minus 2. So can't exactly say FOIL anymore, can we? It's more of a distribute here. You can think of it 2 different ways. You can take everything from the first parenthesis and distribute it to everything in the second parenthesis, or everything from the second parenthesis and distribute it back to the first parenthesis. It's up to you how you do this. Here's what I will say that I like to do, is I like to use the parenthesis with just 2 items and say, okay, I'm going to take the x, multiply everything by x. And then I'm going to take the minus 2 and multiply everything by minus 2. I think just because it's easier to do the multiplication in my brain. So if I multiply everything by x, it becomes x cubed minus x squared minus 20x. Then if I multiply all the original terms by negative 2, negative 2x squared plus 2x and plus 40. Final step, of course, is to combine like terms, clean it up. So f of x equals, there's an x cubed, minus x squared and minus 2x squared, so minus 3x squared, minus 20x plus 2x, minus 18x plus 40. Did I make any mistakes? Matches with my answer key. That's always good. Be careful with your multiplying steps there. Okay, questions? Okay. Get what you need here, get it finished up. If you have questions, let me know. Get started on homework. Well, no. Not get started on homework. At least I hope that's not what it is. Get continuing on homework. Or get started, whatever it might be. I am going to write the homework down here, just so it's in my recording. So that is page 193, 2 through 8, evens, 9 through 12, all, 18 through 28, evens, and 34 to 54, evens. Did I get it all right? Okay.